Welcome to the Mesonet Weather Report. I'm Wes Lee. Spring is not far away now, and with the warmer than normal winter temperatures, plants will begin breaking dormancy soon. Along with that will come insect pests. For alfalfa producers, the alfalfa weevil is usually our most damaging pest. It is a unique insect in that it estivates in the hot summer months and the adults come out in the fall and early winter. Females lay eggs in the stem that will hatch when an appropriate number of heat units have accumulated. In Oklahoma, that hatch begins when approximately 150 heat units have added up since January 1st. With this map through Tuesday, you can see the red color that indicates hatch has already likely begun in the far southern counties. At Mesonet, you can also look at heat unit accumulations at an individual site as well. Here are the numbers for Washington. It reached the 150 heat unit mark on Valentine's Day. Producers or consultants should begin field scouting for the insects in the southern half of the state soon. One bit of good news is that sampling done by OSU indicate that the egg numbers for this winter are relatively low. Sometimes in an early hatch year like this, a really cold snap can help by killing off the small larvae. Now here is Gary with the persistent drought map.
Thanks, Wes, and good morning, everyone. Well, we got a good dose of water this week, some good moisture across the state. We're going to take a look at the newest drought monitor map before that moisture fell and see where we're going to be starting at next week when we try and make improvements. Well, at least before that moisture, all we had on the drought monitor map was, I'm afraid, increases in intensity this week. Now we have most of the western half of the state covered by that D3 or extreme drought. We just have one little small area of severe drought over into southwestern Oklahoma that's left. Basically the western half of the state, and including in south central, extending over into southeastern Oklahoma, covered by that D3 extreme drought. That's the bright red color. So taking a look at the 30-day rainfall before the big storm this week, of course, this is the justification for the increases. Still across the western, really 5/6 of the state, less than an inch of rainfall over the last 30 days. It is the driest time of the year, so not quite a shock there. However, if we look at the percent of normal rainfall maps for that same time frame over the last 30 days, even those areas across far eastern Oklahoma remain below normal, in fact, way below normal, less than 50% of normal over most of the state, and in parts of the northwestern quarter of the state, less than 25% of normal. So certainly not a good map. Hopefully these numbers are much improved before next week's drought monitor map so we can start to make some improvements. Now when we start to take a look at the outlook for next week, this is for the February 22nd to the 26th time frame, we do see a large area of much below normal temperatures extending down across basically the western 2/3 of the country, coming down into Oklahoma. So this is possibly another extremely cold air outbreak like we saw last February. Probably not quite as cold and not nearly as long, but lasting a couple of days, and maybe our next big winter storm to bring us some moisture. We are just getting into the first of the spring season. When we start to hit March through May, that is climatological spring. We take a look at the seasonal drought outlook from the Climate Prediction Center for the end of February through May 31st. Unfortunately, they see much of the state still remaining in drought through that time frame, so that would be through the end of spring. Certainly not the end of the hopes for the rainfall, because we do have quite a bit of rain as we extend into June and even into July in some cases, but not a good map for these purposes this time around. So a good dose of moisture as we start out for the next week. Maybe it's the start of something good and we can start to really hammer that drought out of here over the next few weeks. That's it for this time. We'll see you next time on the Mesonet Weather Report.